What's up, everybody? Welcome back to episode 4 of the Light of Darkness podcast. I am your host, same host as last week, the week before, and the week before, your friend Derrick Garza. Today, on episode number 4, I have my good friend and videographer extraordinaire, owner of TonyStolfa.com or Tony Stolfa Films, and employee of a little website that you may know as FloGrappling. Welcome aboard, Tony Stolfa.
Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. I hope that you talk in the whisper voice the whole time. It sounds exotic. Sounds exotic, man. How's everything going, brother?
Everything's going great. Yeah. How about you? How you doing?
It's good. You sound very tired.
Yeah. I just got really tired.
Just all of a sudden we started. You're like, are we done? Are we done with this goddamn podcast?
All this prepreparation. We got all these beautiful lights. We got like...
Just in case you didn't notice, you're able to see the contours. We've effectively relighted the Light of Darkness studio.
We relit it.
We relit.
Yeah.
We relighted.
Just for proper grammar's sake. Go ahead.
We relit in a way to bring a more professional and polished look to this podcast.
So if you're wondering why Derrick looks 5 years younger,
it's because of Botox.
And Botox. I wasn't aware of the Botox, but
well,
now that you mentioned
I was
it.
off yesterday, and my days off, I try to do things that are not of routine.
You do look good though.
Thanks,
man. You look like you've been eating a lot of red meat.
To my girlfriend's disapproval.
Yeah.
So welcome aboard, man. Tony Stolfa.
Thank you.
Give me a little background story, man. Tell me a little bit about where you're from.
Ooh, okay. So I am a Texas boy. I'm the first generation Texan in my family. I was born in a small town called Tyler, Texas.
Which is not super far from here, from Austin.
No, it's not that far. Yeah, Central Texas area. We quickly moved. I think I was 3 years old. We moved. My dad, my mom, my brother.
Every time I ask one of my guests to go back, they go way back.
Yeah.
They the whole 23 and me.
Bro, we were talking about this before. I can talk.
Well, I like it. That's why I brought you on board.
Storyteller.
Ooh.
That's what I do.
So, Tyler, Texas.
So we moved young. I grew up in Texas, long story short. Small town called Orange is where we found ourselves. But yeah, it's like, if you know where Beaumont is, it's near Beaumont. People know that name because it's a oil town. So
Beaumont?
Yeah, Beaumont.
Beaumont is not the controversial Vider, is it?
It is. It borders Vider. Yeah.
So they're bordering towns.
Orange and Beaumont are divided by Vider.
So it's they're all like neighboring cities.
Yeah, they all touch each other.
If you don't know about Vider, it's essentially, it was or is, I'm not sure if it is, but it's a city in Texas that was occupied by the Ku Klux Klan, correct?
Correct. They used to host one of the largest rallies.
They had a rally there, right? It's not like it was the base of operations. It just
correct
was a meeting ground.
It was they had one of the biggest parades, I guess, of the year, or rallies of the year out in Vider. And if you go back and you Google Vider, there's a lot of news articles that talk about like not going out after dark if you're a dark-skinned person,
like you and I?
Things like even myself. But no, this was back in I guess 60s, 70s. When it was known for that, but now it still has a reputation.
Does it?
People know it, for that.
Okay, I mean, I think on our way
also for like kissing cousins and things like that, things of that nature. Meth. It's so
it's a very land of opportunity.
Yeah, there's also a Mormon colony out there too. I met I don't know, I guess I was about 23, right before I moved to Austin. Met a girl, very interesting girl. Turns out she was just such a sweetheart. I met her when I was waiting tables. And she ends up, turns out she's a Mormon and, well, ex-Mormon. I won't get into that too much, but she lived in an area where the former Mormons lived, or where they were ostracized, or
they were
banished. They were banished to this neighborhood, right?
So they were ostracized to a town in Texas.
Yeah, all in this small town of Vider. It's called like Pine Forest, but I'm giving out a lot of stuff here.
No, it's
there's a lot of like lawyers and things that are attached. But anyway, they own this essentially this colony of neighborhoods and they bought it all up, bought up all the land, sprouted up their Mormon colony, and so that's there too.
So now you have Mormons, you have Klansmen, you have very tight-knit families.
You have the most hateful people in the world, and some of the nicest people you'll ever meet in the world.
Sounds like Austin.
Yeah.
Very. So you got into the martial arts like so many of the other people that I have come through here.
Yeah, I keep kicking your table too. Sorry. Yes.
Say sorry to the.
I apologize, folks. I'm kicking the table. I know it's shaking on your screen. So I found martial arts. It was something I always wanted to do as a kid. Sorry, it's hard to look at you.
Well, you can do however, man. We don't have an audience as of yet. So if you want to turn, you want to do it.
You can do it like this.
Donahue style. You want to do Maury Povich style. You can do it like this.
Okay. This is good.
I'm gonna just go back. That's weird.
Yeah, it is a little weird. All right, so martial arts. As a kid, my generation growing up watching Ninja Turtles, superhero, like I was into comic books. I was really into superheroes and things like that. So I wanted to be able to like beat up wrongdoers kind of thing. But like Taekwondo was something I was interested in. But
how old were you when you first started doing any type of martial arts?
I did not get into martial arts until I was 20 years old.
Oh, right on.
Yeah. So growing up in this small town, single mother, just to kind of go back a little bit, she didn't have the means to kind of like bring two boys to different sports. So my brother was older. He wanted to play baseball. We played baseball. I hated baseball. I was terrible at baseball. I picked a lot of flowers in baseball. And then, so I did that for, through junior high school. I played football in high school, was not that great. He was good. He excelled in that. And is now still involved in an athletic department, here in San Marcos. But yeah, so, I kind of just lived in his shadow through that. And then whenever adulthood happened, I realized I still had no kind of real self-defense knowledge.
This is still with you.
This is still with me. The yearning for martial arts was still burning inside me. Mm-hmm. So I'm an adult now, and I kind of have an opportunity to think about some things because I'm in college. I didn't know what I wanted to do. My financial aid was running out. I had a small grant that was running out, so I was paying for it on my own, part of it, and just kind of thinking about how long I wanted to do that for, and told myself, answered that question real quick.
You when I met you a few years ago, you had come and you to the gym, and you had already come with martial arts experience.
Yep.
You had fight in the cage, correct?
Correct.
Or as you said to me, and I'm trying to recall, when you came to the martial arts, you were overweight?
I was.
Like you said, you were severely overweight.
People in my network would not have called me severely overweight. I don't think they wouldn't have said I was obese or overweight. I did have the nickname Brown Bear. That was what people referred to me as. What were you
weighing at? If you,
I was. I got up to around 220 pounds.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I'm 6'1".
6'1". Now you're super lean. You're like 100 and.
Today I'm 157 pounds.
How did that go about? Were you disciplined in your diet, or you just have a super fast metabolism? How did this happen? Meth? Was it meth?
So I grew up in no. Meth was not in the equation, but could have helped. This is all kind of part of that. So I'm 20 years old. I'm questioning what I'm doing. I'm going to school and sort of paying for it, but didn't know why, because I had no real path. And I'm just kind of looking at myself, was like, I'd always been an athlete, but at this point I'm 20 and I was playing music. I was in bands and just unhealthy. I was living a very unhealthy lifestyle. We were partying a lot, drinking a lot. So a lot of beer, a lot of sodas, a lot of just poor health things. I was smoking. I smoked cigarettes. For a long time I smoked cigarettes. And so it was just this just kind of self-evaluation thing. It all kind of led to that. But I started doing martial arts. So the way I found martial arts was, that's what you were going to get into.
No, actually I was going to ask if there was a particular moment that made you reevaluate. Was it an accumulation of things, or a girl or something? What? I mean, usually there's a catalyst, if you will.
Now that you mention it, there was sort of a girl thing, but I don't know if that was the catalyst per se, but it was a progressive thing. So yeah, it did kind of come from just this long, I've always wanted to do it. It was something, and then I always kind of told myself, don't put limitations. Like once you're, you can provide for yourself, don't put limitations on yourself kind of thing. So it was a culmination of a lot of things, and maybe the girl did kind of push it over the edge, but at this point, I wasn't happy with what I was doing, and I knew that there was no way to get fulfillment unless I kind of just like took some time away from everything else and found a way to just think about it, instead of just bombarding myself, because I was working 2 jobs. I was touring like in the summers, kind of with bands. I played bass. I am not a great musician by any means. We were just doing it. It was a thing to do there, you know. Yeah, I mean, we survived a little. We weren't full-time touring by any means, but we did. We took little regional tours across the country and stuff like that, mostly on the East Coast. But
name of your band? Are they defunct?
I had a few bands, but my favorite one was LMNOP.
LMNOP.
Favorite name, because band names, they're great.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. Anyway, so
I didn't have anything to go with. I was like, I've never been in a band. So I wanted to be in a band, but you have to have some sort of musical talent. And, well...
Or you can fake it till you make it. Or don't make it.
You can do computer shit.
You could.
It's much easier, I think. It's like a lot of... Well, I mean, not to discount people that do it, but it's kind of made in such a way now that it's accessible and it's intuitive.
For sure. You can build your website. You can create your music on GarageBand for free. You can.
I mean, that's what we did with the Light of Darkness theme, right? Essentially,
it's all you can do at grassroots. One man band.
I'm giving away all the secrets,
which is what I guess getting in, like jumping ahead the cinematography world, which is like.
Don't go crazy.
It aggravates me so much.
Let's get there
in that world.
Let's just slow your roll. Tony Stolfa, we're just starting off, man. Just bring it down a little bit, Brown Bear.
All right, thank you. I needed that.
You're good. All right, so you, what brought you to the weight loss that's coming off your band? What brings you to the point where you feel from being a 220 pound guy to that's not big by any means, but I mean, if you were to see yourself in person, like I see you all the time, you're a skinny dude. You're like very, very small for your size. I mean, I'm not saying you're a child.
No.
But you're very.
I'm a lanky guy.
Lean.
I'm not a mesomorphic individual. Yeah. I'm a very lean guy.
What brought you to the point that you wanted to get in the cage, man? And how many times did you get in the cage?
That was So my record when I left, I believe my official record was 2-1. I had one unsanctioned fight that I won, my very first one. So I guess technically you call that 3-1, whatever you want to call it. So yeah, I did step in the cage. One was a ring actually in Louisiana. We did it at it was technically a nightclub, but they also had
the unsanctioned one.
This one was.
You're smiling
this one was sanctioned, but they spelled my name wrong, and it was just it was a fun one. But this was my first on the record fight. It went well for me. It was great. Like. The adrenaline thing happened, but I finished it in about 1:50. So it was
well. And then you had one loss. What are we looking
at? I was burping off mic. Sorry.
I thought that was like an insect or something.
You're making me nauseous over here. I was about to vomit.
Sorry.
No.
Actually, you had a loss. How was that loss? What was the loss? The official.
So being a storyteller, I feel like I have to add a little context to this.
I would love that.
So I need to back up a little bit.
Okay.
So going back to martial arts, my beginning. So there was a school that opened up when I'm 20 years old. I love the UFC, just like everybody else's story that starts doing MMA or jiu-jitsu or any type of striking martial art in their adult life. Usually that's the reason. The catalyst was UFC or something to that effect. So an American Top Team school opened up, and I knew American Top Team from the UFC. Mm-hmm. I knew they had the most world champions at the time. They were really, highly acclaimed school. So the team was not actually called American Top. They were called Texas Top Team at the time.
Well, American Top Team is an offshoot of Brazilian Top Team that was in its heyday one of the best teams in the world. They had pride fighting champions, like actual belt holders, and then I think they were also had like they did the Bushido, the Pride Bushido guys, and then they also had I believe people in the UFC. So it was one of the strongest, and they had roots to Carlson Gracie.
Yeah.
So they were still based in
And if you're not familiar with jiu-jitsu or Carlson Gracie pretty much is jiu-jitsu for that matter, right?
Well, it depends on who you ask.
In the U.S.
Depends on who you ask. But definitely one of the pioneers. Of the
in the United States.
Right. Yeah. So this was a camp based in Brazil, and then they brought the American, sites, schools. Yeah, to the Americans.
Affiliation.
Right.
Yeah,
and so, of course, that's how the team grows. And now they're not completely the same.
No.
They're
Ricardo Laborio kind of took over,
the
American top team, and now he's running that out of Florida. Mm-hmm. So now they've expanded vastly. They're all over the country now. But at the time, they just had a handful of affiliations. And my school was not an affiliate at the time. They were called Texas Karate Academy / Texas Top Team, right? So they were a karate academy first, and a daycare situation. Big school, big nice family oriented place. And so then they started a mixed martial arts program, and that was then called Texas Top Team. So I knew they were working on their American Top Team affiliation, and I wanted to be a part of that. Mm-hmm. So I just knew they were very accredited, so I wanted to be a part of an accredited school. And so I started training there. I started running first. That was how I lost all the weight. Did a lot of running. I just kind of lifestyle change. Just I stopped drinking sodas. That was the main thing. I just cut out sodas completely. I traded that with water and started running. And I shed about 30 pounds in about a month almost.
Was there a change in energy? I mean, it's a lot of weight. For dropping that much weight, did you feel your energy levels deplete, or is it an increased energy level?
I felt like I kind of was finding the energy level that I'd been kind of stagnating. I'd just been kind of putting it away. Like I said before this, I'd always been athletic at playing football and everything. I knew cardio was never really an issue for me in that aspect, and still to this day has never really been a problem for me. So the running part was something that I knew I could do, and I knew how far I could go. So when I started shedding the pounds, it kind of felt more natural. I was like, I can get back to this running thing that I used to do, and now it feels normal. Mm-hmm. So actually the energy level, I would say I got a boost in energy from burning all that off. I don't know. I'm not a doctor. I'm not a...
Well, from your personal experience.
Right.
I know you're not a doctor.
So yes. So then jumping forward into MMA. So we became an American Top Team affiliate there at Texas Top Team, and started that program, that curriculum, which I loved. It was a so for people that have never trained at a school like American Top Team, it's a little unique in that they teach a mixed martial arts style curriculum. It's not Muay Thai and jiu-jitsu and wrestling separate. They are wrestling for MMA, jiu-jitsu for MMA, and striking for MMA. So you're learning to kind of close distance and control distance and that sort of thing with those tools. So my jiu-jitsu was not competition level jiu-jitsu,
but
caliber.
Effective.
It was effective in mixed martial arts, and it was effective for my style of mixed martial arts, which was the range game. I'm a tall, lanky guy. I was weighing roughly 165 pounds, and I was fighting at 155 at first. And then I dropped down to 145 pounds my last two fights. So that was very small, and that was a hard weight cut. It wasn't easy.
Yeah, from 220 overall to
145 pounds. That's a big jump.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that did take a little bit of a toll on my body. I have a back injury from football. That kind of, it came in and out, flared up, but nothing. Actually, I'm blessed that I've not had any major injuries.
Yeah, everybody walks around with some sort of injury.
Yeah, you got something that nags you, but I've never had any broken bones, torn ligaments, tendons, things like that. Sprained things, and you get out for a few weeks, but nothing major.
So you going back to the question that I had originally asked. You did have a loss.
Yes.
Okay.
So, the loss.
Well, you don't want to talk about the loss.
No, absolutely.
But really, if we want to talk about the loss, let's do that. Because I have a question after that.
Let's talk about it.
All right.
I'm all about exposing my weaknesses.
I like it. I think that it shows your human side.
Yeah, absolutely. And why not?
Who cares, right?
We're all weak. Yeah. Regardless of how tough you think you are, there's someone better than you out there. I played the striking game. I played the rage game. I was fighting a guy who was a boxer, a very skilled boxer. And also, at the time, he was a blue belt in jiu-jitsu. So I really didn't have any belts in jiu-jitsu. Anyway, long story short, first round, I did okay. I feel like I controlled the round. So in the judges' eyes, I felt like it would have been my round. However, doesn't matter when this happens. So second round, we come out about a minute into the match, and I threw a straight left because I'm a southpaw. So I threw a cross with my left hand. He countered with a lead left hand hook, and
so
caught
beat
me
you to the punch.
Beat me to the punch on that one, and rocked me. And it was the first time in competition fighting that I had been rocked and been in that situation where just kind of the room is moving, but you're not. And so, yeah, it took a minute to kind of regain that composure, catch up with myself. I ended up taking him down just out of,
instinct,
fight mode. Took him down, got on top. He secured a triangle. And then when you're in that state of mind, when you, I'm sure you've been there, you get a little fuzzy. You make poor decisions, and I just turned myself into a triangle the wrong way. And there's one way you can go that's the right way, and the other way is like a wrench, and it just tightens down, and that was it. So I tapped out, and I didn't go out, but I was a bloody mess. He ended up splitting my eye with that punch that he landed, cut me right at the eyebrow. And then I think I had like 9 stitches or something like that. At the end of the fight, my face was swollen for a month. My mom was
so we're gonna
upset.
ask you, did your mom went to go watch you?
Man, so this was the most upsetting part. So, my other fights were, like I said, one was unsanctioned, one was in Louisiana in this dusty old club. And then another one was in my hometown. In the hometown fight, I did really well. I dominated all 3 rounds, submitted the guy, or didn't submit. I'm sorry. I was securing a rear naked choke at the end, didn't finish him, but it was a good clinic. It was a good showing for me. So, and that was in my hometown. So it was great. This fight was in Houston in front of on a bigger stage. But my entire family was there. So the hometown show, I got to kind of like, my friends got to see me, that sort of thing. But my brother's girlfriend and all their family showed up this time and brought more people and that kind of thing. So it was just having to face them at the end of it was real. That was kind of heartbreaking. But I kept my composure, I will say. And again, willingness to show my weakness. In front of them, I laughed it off and felt, made them, think everything was okay. And then on the way to the restaurant that night, I lost it. I just broke down. I cried. My girlfriend was the only person that saw it.
It's very frustrating to put so much energy, so much effort into working toward an objective, a clear objective, and then falling short. Yeah. And I can attest to that. I've done some professional level grappling matches, streamed online. Several of them, in front of, hundreds of people, you know what I mean? And don't always have the results. I mean, on one stage I went to sleep. I basically was choked out.
I remember that.
And another one, I was trying to be exciting. If nothing else, I was always try to be exciting. I jumped into, I tried to do something offensive, and it ended up backfiring in a big way. And I got caught in a heel hook. And then I think the last one, I don't know, the last time I competed, I think the guy, very strong guy, did a crazy little move, which got a lot of notoriety. But at the end of the day, man, like he submitted. And
that guy was a world class, fighter. And
I think at the level that, black belts and above, I mean, everybody's good. There's no scrubs. I see blue belts that for sure tap black belts. And so, I think to compete is, it's tough, man. There's only one person's going to win, one person's going to lose. And, the people that are world champions and stuff, I mean, that's something special, something that's difficult to do, but if you get out there, I mean, I think that's something to be said. Some very competitive people would be like, no, man, the result has to be a win. And that's great, but just, you can't win them all. That's just how it goes, man.
I would totally disagree with that. Not with your idea, but with that idea. That winning is the the goal every time. And I mean, it is. You don't want to go into a tournament and lose, and you don't want to go into any competition and lose. But if you go in there with that on your shoulder, like that's the weight of it, then you're bound to be disappointed. I mean, you're not gonna win them all.
Yeah,
and you learn. I think you learn that in jiu-jitsu. Like you're not going to beat everyone.
You can't. It's
impossible. It's impossible. No one
Even
does.
The greatest fighters in the world on the biggest stage, they're great because they win so much. But you know, if you look at all their records, there's losses.
There's losses. Yeah.
I mean, who's the top guy right now? And any top guy.
Well, you could say
Floyd
Santos.
Floyd Mayweather.
Oh, Floyd Mayweather. Okay.
He's smart in his own way.
Okay.
But he's the exception. You know, like most people are going to lose.
He's also never mind.
Don't be the shady.
I'm not throwing shade.
I'm just saying. You can. I don't.
We were talking about exciting fights and putting yourself out there and being vulnerable and that sort of thing. And so along those lines, if that's the type of fighter you want to be and have an unblemished record, by all means. And he's just building his legacy. And again, like nothing wrong with that. I think it's great. He's built a hell of a career for himself, and kudos, Mayweather. You are a very, very successful man.
Absolutely.
He's
gonna make,
and I'm excited about that fight too.
He's gonna make
regardless.
He's gonna make a lot of money in that fight.
No doubt. That was the whole. That's why we've been waiting for 2 years now
for this particular fight.
Yeah, for the money. I don't know. Has it been? When was the Nate Diaz fight?
Last
so
year.
It's been a year and a half, maybe a year.
Something like that.
Okay, so maybe dates, times. They're all. I'm bad with those.
The days run.
Yeah.
They run together.
But yeah, we kind of got.
I was gonna ask you. Yeah, I was gonna ask you between the wins and the losses, man. What's the contrast? Like, obviously, one is positive, one is negative. But does it motivate you? You know, like a lot of people when they lose, they come back motivated, and some people are just like, I don't want to go through that again. You know what I mean? It's different for different people. That's the same thing for winning. You know, some people really thrive off of this, and then some people just don't really care if they're doing just to say they did it. You know,
I can't say I don't love winning. It feels great, particularly in mixed martial arts. I will say jiu-jitsu. It feels wonderful to win. It's great. Jiu-jitsu has a little bit less of it's a little less extremes, right? So in the fighting world, mixed martial arts has a very, very high highs and very, very low lows. The wins that I got in mixed martial arts were some of the best feelings I'd had in a day of my. I've experimented. I'll say I've experimented with a few drugs in my life, and there's never been a high that's something you can't fabricate.
Nobody does that. Nobody does
drugs. No. I know, and I'm not promoting drugs, right? So, but anyway, I'm to drugs.
I'm drinking
wine.
I'm drinking coffee. I don't know what you're talking about.
So yeah, no, it's the best feeling in the world. But I wouldn't say that that's why I did it or why I do it still. And it sounds cliche, but when I won my last win, I was undefeated. I was 2-0 officially, and I told my mom that I wasn't gonna do it anymore. I told my brothers I wasn't gonna do it anymore. I was like, this feels great. You know, this is great. Second win. I didn't even really want to take it to the second fight, but my coaches kind of almost insisted on it. They almost, they didn't pressure me or push me into it by any means, but just built me up, and I felt great about it. I felt super confident about it, so I did it. And the third fight was, in my opinion, a mistake.
Not prepared, or
I was not. Yes, mentally, I was not. I didn't want it. It wasn't. I was done with that. I never wanted to make a career out of mixed martial arts. That was from the beginning. I was never convinced that I ever wanted to go any further than just having a fight, maybe two. That was the extent I wanted. So I wanted that life experience. I wanted to, I wanted to overcome those nerves of being locked in a thing with someone who wanted to hurt me. And that was skilled, because if, you get in that arrangement somewhere else, you just want to have a little bit of confidence knowing that you can handle yourself to some capacity. So
absolutely. Yeah. Which kind of brings me to the thing that I wanted to ask you about next.
Yep.
You came to me, I don't know, maybe it was a while back, and you had actually said that you got into an altercation, I guess in a parking lot of local grocer, and you were unsure of how that should have been handled, and I just wanted to kind of ask you about that. You want to run me back through that one more time?
Yeah. Another lengthy story.
Sure, man.
But so this happened my first week in Austin. I came in for South by Southwest. I was working. I went into an HEB. This happened at an HEB in Austin here, so near where a friend was staying. I just went in to grab, I think some water, beer, something like that, something quick. And I'm leaving, and I start to like hear people gathering up and noises happening sort of near the produce area as I'm walking out.
This is inside the store?
This is inside the HEB.
Okay.
I just checked out. I just bought my items, and I was leaving, right? Mm-hmm. And so I've told this story before. It's funny. I've told this story before, like, to my company, and it's like the only like audience I've actually told it to. Other than my girlfriend at the time.
Now 12
right.
people are going to listen to
Yeah, I know,
this.
right? So it's fun. It's kind of funny. So it's just funny hearing it back all these years later. But so hear this happening. I see a crowd of people start to form. I kind of peek in to see what's going on. And I start hearing a woman's voice like saying, "Get him off me, help me out, get him off me." And I'm already thinking, you know, cops and things are involved, but I'm just going to check it out anyway. And I'm looking, and there's a guy essentially sitting on top of a woman. If you know jiu-jitsu positions, I could walk you through this, but we'll spare that. So, and she's screaming. So I approach the situation because
so no
one else was helping. Yeah.
Are they just like onlookers? Or?
Yeah. Everybody's just gawking and kind of standing around looking at each other and looking at the situation and looking back. And so anyway, I just set my things down and just went forward, and I kind of grabbed the guy by the shoulder and just kind of like shake him a little bit, you know, like, "Hey, what's going on?" I didn't know if this was a joke, if they were just playing, you know.
Sure.
You don't know these things when you walk into a situation like that, so you can't assume anything. So I do this, and at the same time, another gentleman comes to, I guess he sees me do it, so he jumps in too. He kind of like, oh, bandwagon. So he starts to follow up, and the gentleman involved in the altercation sees him. I call him a gentleman. Just because I don't know why I use that term actually. So he sees the gentleman approaching and attacks him. So attacks his leg. So he then effectively shoots a double ankle pick.
So basically he rushes and grabs behind the guy's legs.
Rushes and grabs.
I'm going to be your layman, your color commentator.
There we go. So the assaulter starts to assault this other man. And
this guy's not prepared for that?
This guy's not prepared for that. He actually, once he double ankle picks, he shoves him. The guy falls to his butt and slides a little ways. I still sort of have my hand on the guy's shoulder slightly. And he starts to push into me and just put his weight on me like he's going to take me down next. And I instinctually just took his back. Just kind of, you know, where my go-to, right?
Spun around.
So I put my knee on his shoulder. As he pushed into me, I used his weight and just rode his back and then slapped my hooks in. Hooks being my feet around his hips, around the front of his...
You're basically on his back with your legs wrapped
I start
around
riding his back, yeah. So I get my arm around his throat and from the back and just start to, in his ear, tell him, calm down, I don't want to hurt you. Because, again, still don't know the situation. And I'm thinking maybe I just interrupted like a joke, and then this guy's getting mad, you know, at the same time. Turns out he doesn't really speak English that well, so he doesn't really hear what I'm saying, but then proceeds to start to try to like punch me. So I just squeeze, let him know, you know, hey, I will choke you out. He just continues to punch me, so I put him out. I tried to start slow. He wouldn't let me start slow. He just increased.
Well,
yeah.
you know, that's...
So I just stopped the situation. So I just put him out.
You trained for...
I knew it wasn't going to hurt him. So anyway, rolled over and I was there for him whenever he came to. I just made sure he was okay. And like he kind of sat up, and I just made sure he wasn't going to stand up, and just told him to kind of stay calm. And a security guard then starts to come up and looks very hesitant. Like he bewildered and didn't, like looking at a safari animals like he'd never seen before. So I asked the security guard to step in. I said, "Do you want to handle the situation?" He obliges. I say, "Okay, I'm going to put my groceries away real quick because they're cold. I'll go put them in my trunk. I'll be right back because I assume you're going to want to report." I go to my car. I open my trunk. I get a high five on the way out from a guy.
All right.
It was cool. As soon as before I even shut my trunk, I hear noises coming from the entrance where I just left by the produce section. And the security guard, I look back, I start to run back towards the situation. I just knew it wasn't good. Running back through the parking lot, and the security guard is being pummeled by the other guy that was just unconscious into his driver's side door of a Jeep Wrangler. So Jeep Wrangler convertible is parked out front.
So the guy that just got put to sleep is now back on the offensive.
Attacking the security guard that I left him with. Correct. So there's a Jeep Wrangler parked out front of this of the produce area, the exit, and the driver's side door is open, and he is slamming him into the door. So the door is then hyperextending towards the hood.
Okay.
Okay. The door is breaking. He's pummeling him into this door so hard.
And nobody's doing shit.
No one's doing anything. So no one else is intervening. So I'm running across the parking lot. I'm kind of assimilating what's happening, what's going to happen. And I see he's got two hands on his waist belt, on the security guard's waistband. Meaning those are all his weapons. He's got mace. He's got. I don't know if he has a gun. I don't know what he has. I just know his weapons are there. I know he's got whatever.
Watched enough Batman to know.
Watched, yeah,
you know that's the utility belt.
And he's got both his hands are dedicated to the waist. It's just not good. And the security guard was defending his waist too, so it looked like he was trying to pull something.
Props
out.
to that guy.
So, again, I'm just kind of extrapolating that. I kind of run. I jump. I didn't want to injure the security guy. And I didn't want him to get whatever he was going for. So I didn't want to leave any space on the outside for him to escape. So I jumped through the passenger side and literally sat on his arms in between the security guard and him to separate him.
You sat on his arms.
Sat on top of his arms where he's grabbing the guy by the waist.
The guy's.
I come over the passenger side because it's a convertible Jeep, and I sit on top of his hands so that he can't use his hands, right? And I get him in a guillotine. So his hands are down like this. I pull his head forward in the front driver's seat, and I pull him into the seat with me, and I guillotine him into the front seat.
Front headlock
choke, yes. Put him unconscious again. This time I hold a little longer because I didn't want him to come back awake because at this point I figure he's dangerous. So he gurgles. He goes to sleep. I'm looking at the security guard who's now shaking, silent, and looks like he just saw. I can't even explain it. The look of awe on his face was just. He looked like he just died, but standing up. He had no emotion, no nothing. So this guy's unconscious. I'm holding his head up, and I'm yelling at the security guard to give me his handcuffs. Like, give me your handcuffs, and he's not responding. So I eventually get close enough to the security guard, and I grab the security guard, pull him in close to me. I get his handcuffs from him, and I handcuff the guy to the Jeep.
Holy shit. So this all went down in HEB. How long was this whole fucking fiasco?
Maybe 20, not even 20 minutes. I mean, 10 minutes. It had to be. It was quick.
I mean, that's a long time.
Quick, yeah.
10 minutes is a very long time for all this to be happening and for no authority to show up.
Nothing. So the cops show up. This is how quick it all happened because the cops hadn't showed up at all. And on that side of town, the east side, Riverside, Pleasant Valley area of Austin, there's a lot of cop activity. They post up. This HEB apparently is notorious for fights and things too. So
yeah, that's actually true.
Yeah,
it's been my HEB.
Yeah, and so I didn't know that at the time. I'm new to Austin, so I had no idea. But anyway, the situation was handled. No one was hurt, but I'm now looking at the security guard who's in just utter shock and dismay and like has no idea what's going on, cannot even look at me straight in the eye. And I'm shaking him and I'm saying, look, man, like, look, it's okay. Like, calm down. I need you to help me out. You know, like, are you okay? Are you going to be okay? Anyway, I kind of got a little angry. I'm not gonna lie.
Security guard?
Just at the lack of training the security guard had. Just because, and this is why, and I didn't mention this yet. The guy was reaching for his gun. He had a gun. He had a pistol in his waistband. That situation could have gone from just a basic domestic dispute inside of a grocery store to a mass killing situation.
Absolutely.
Because he was involved. And had I known that I really didn't know he had that type of weapon. I thought he had a taser, mace, something along those lines, less than lethal weapon, as they say. Had no idea that he was actually carrying a high caliber weapon. So knowing that and knowing the lack of training he had, just his inability to function in that type of situation just made it enraged me. It made me furious because I'm looking around at all these people that could have been victims.
Absolutely.
And I didn't want to be, I kind of felt guilty. That's what I talked to you about at the end of it all, because at the end of this whole situation, the cops finally show up. They badger me with questions. I answer them, as articulately as possible so that they understand that I am trained, but I knew that I was trying to nullify the situation without hurting anyone. I was not just being aggressive. And they reviewed the security footage and ended up thanking me at the end of the day. But the big moral dilemma I had was that I stepped into a situation where my help wasn't really actually wanted, because the wife of the man who was assaulting her didn't want to press charges and was actually trying to convince me to lie to the police. at the end of it. So I just felt like, you train and train and train for these type of situations, this superhero moment where you get to kind of do this thing for someone who's being abused or, bullied. And then at the end of the day, people could have died. And I really didn't do anything that's going to help any situation, because he's not going to he may go to jail, but she's going to bail him out. And the cop told me this. The police officer said that she's probably going to inevitably bail him out. It'll probably be worse for her when he gets home.
Absolutely. I think that's kind of the stickiness of the situation, like domestic disturbances or abuse situations. That, like, you see them out and about. I mean, there's so many people that we run through, that we are kind of sharing space with in society, and inevitably you may run into that. And it's hard to say, like, when to get involved and when not to get involved, because sometimes the emotion of, the people involved in them is not going to change anything. That is just a normal thing. But on top of that, we live in Texas and people have guns and people carry knives.
Everybody has guns.
I mean, it's illegal to do so. Mm-hmm. And not everybody, like, as you experienced, has the training and the mindset to know how to use these things in a way that is not dangerous to themselves and others. So, man, I can sympathize with what you're saying. And I mean, it's great that you stopped the situation, but who knows? You know what I mean? Who knows how that could have came about? But, it could have been way worse had you not, He
could have attacked the security guard right before even I got involved. If the security guard would have been the first guy on the site, maybe he would have got beat up and got his gun taken. Who knows? There's all these coulda, woulda, shouldas.
When I was younger and I was starting jiu-jitsu, man, I come from the city that I used to live in, Corpus. It's there's a lot of violence. And
you don't say.
I do say.
I've heard this.
And so with just like road rage incidents and stuff, I've had people.
Is there a lot of gang activity in Corpus?
There's a lot of everything.
I feel like there's a lot of like Latino gang.
Yeah,
stuff.
I would say that.
Maybe
I've just that.
Yeah.
It's just violence is almost always, not almost always. It's an option that a lot of people will consider, and so because of that, I've been in situations where, like, I just would not, when in my younger days, would not turn away from a fight very easily. I'm just like, okay, let's fucking do it, And I've been road raging, or somebody else road raged to me, and I just kind of react, and people will pull over, and so I pulled over, and like, it's not the smartest thing, and I was just like I said, 21, 22 years old, you just, whatever, you're thinking like, we're gonna fight, we're gonna see who's the better fighter. But people are like, they're not thinking like a martial artist, and it's naive for me to think that people would think that. But they'd get out, and I've definitely been told to get out of a car, and then somebody have a knife on them, and be like, I have to back down, because, well, number one, there's two things that can happen. I could think that I'm trained well enough to take on this attacker, adversary, whatever you want to call it, and I may come away without unscathed. But the reality is, or another option, a very real reality, is that I am not trained well enough. And, if you've ever looked at, like, on the internet of defensive wounds for people against knives, it's terrible. Even people
it's hard to defend against a knife.
Yeah. So, it's crazy. Like, people always say, with the martial arts, and it does give you a leg up. Like, I mean, it's better than nothing. But, somebody who's determined,
but not equal.
No, somebody who's determined, it has a knife or a gun. You're not faster than a bullet, and you're not sharper than a knife. So yes, you may, if they suck at what they're doing, but you may not. And the thing is that you get one chance. And if you catch a knife to your neck or something to your heart or whatever, like, that's it. You're done. There's no reset. Everybody's got to, and so, I had to really pull it back. The mentality of fight anybody anywhere, because, like, it's just not worth it. As a matter of fact, like, I think like 2 weeks ago, there was a tow truck guy, and I'm not going to even, like, whatever.
Don't even get me started on tow truck guys.
No, I'm just saying.
No,
but the guy was really aggressive, and he was kind of swerving, and he almost hit people, and he's just driving, and we pull up to the light, and I just shake my head. I'm just like, throw my hands up. I'm like, dude, what are you doing? And I shake my head, and he rolls the window down. He's like, and he's just confrontational. He's like, what's up? And I'm like, dude, what do you mean what's up? You're almost hitting people, like you're swerving all over the place, blah, blah, blah. And so he's like, well, why don't you mind your own fucking business?
Like, I'm trying to text my girl, dog.
And I'm like, well, why don't you learn how to fucking drive? Yeah. And so it just becomes this escalated thing. And the first thing that he says is pull over. Now, if I'm 21 years old, I'm pulling over and I'm going to fight that dude. I'm going to try to beat the fuck out of the guy. But the thing I thought was like, well, no, I'm not pulling over because, number one, I don't know if you have a gun. I don't know if you're going to run me over. Right. I've seen too many internet videos.
I got a son now. I ain't trying to go there.
Yeah. Absolutely. So it's just a different, it's more is at stake.
For sure. I had a gas truck almost try to do a similar thing. I won't get into that, but yeah, a gas truck was trying to run me off the road.
That is not unheard of. No. Yeah. We're going to change gears for a second.
All right.
Because I want to ask
Speaking of vehicles, vroom, vroom.
You like that? You like a segue?
Pop the clutch.
Yeah. I want to ask you how you got into videography.
Okay. Videography. Ooh.
That's the thing that you do.
I don't know how I did it. No. Yes,
that's
so my profession. Yeah. So I do jiu-jitsu, not professionally. Actually, I have a pro tournament July 25th. July 15th. I'm sorry, Bruce Kumite, first ever gi submission only tournament. Should be fun.
In Houston. At Ground Dwellers.
And
it is
July 15th.
It's going to be on Facebook.
Yeah, it'll be on Facebook Live, so you can watch it for free. So check that out. Bruce Kumite on Facebook. You can find him, connect with him. You can get the feed there. But yeah, so videography. I'm also doing the IBJJF Open on July 25th.
Cool.
Too. So yeah, that'll be good. Blue belt. My first blue belt IBJJF tournament. So that'll be fun.
I'll be there.
I think I'll be there.
I
got that white belt crown, dog. Trying to get that blue belt.
I feel you.
So
make a name for yourself.
So I am, by my profession, I am a director of photography and producer for nonfiction content. So I make documentary films. I do branded content for various products and companies. Also do like commercial work, but it's mostly, like I said, it's all in the travel, like nonfiction type of world. So the way I got started in that was when I was back in my stomping grounds in Orange. I was in this limbo phase where I didn't know what I was doing and wanted to do with my life. Found the martial arts, started training in my evenings, but I was also I would be going to school during the day. I would start my classes around 1:00. I was working on the morning show for a local television station at the time.
Was that just a random thing that you just kind of applied for? Or?
I was waiting tables for a long time while playing music. It was one of those flexible jobs. You got cash and you could like quit and you can go work at a different restaurant, when you come back from tour. Or, I was, that kind of thing. So I was waiting tables and I had a friend who kind of just got me into it. He ended up, I ended up stumbling into it from him. He knew someone in the business and got a job there. Don't really know the details on that, but he ended up, we were good friends and working together.
I'm doing my thing.
I'm talking to the people here, Derrick. This isn't about you.
This is not about me at all.
It's about me, actually. So we'll just keep going. So he made a connection for me, and basically he vacated a spot in the morning show and went to the evenings and started working as a camera operator. And I took his role as a production assistant in the morning. So I was working from 3 a.m. to 9 a.m. on the morning shows, basically running a teleprompter and setting up cameras and lights in the studio for our daily news broadcast.
You had no clue how to do this before?
No clue how to do this. No, none. You don't really have to be qualified by any means. It's a very beginner level job, base level. You have to figure out the fine tuning of the teleprompter and then know some typing skills and be able to kind of take commands, but that's about it. You can learn it all on the fly.
PowerPoint.
Everything I did. Everything I learned.
PowerPoint was the training tool.
We used, it wasn't PowerPoint. I don't remember what we used.
I'm just saying it's like similar.
Right. I actually don't know how to use PowerPoint. I've never had to give a presentation like that.
Don't hire him.
And if I did give a presentation, it would not be on PowerPoint. So just saying, I would use reference materials like videos and screenshots and things.
Gotcha.
Wouldn't need PowerPoint.
Gotcha.
So, so yeah, this all kind of came about just kind of randomly and organically from him. And then, I kind of wanted to follow his path a little bit. I wouldn't say, and Jeremy Crocker, I know you're out there. So shout out to you for getting me my first ever position.
Jeremy Crocker.
Jeremy Crocker.
He's the reason you're here.
He just
today.
got married. Congratulations, sir. You and Lucy are a beautiful couple, and you guys are amazing people.
What a gentleman.
He's such a good guy.
So
really nice guy, and I think he just moved recently. He's out maybe in Tennessee somewhere. Sorry if I'm screwing.
Anyway, this is about you, not him.
Well, I like to plug my friends. My friends have helped me along the way, so I can't forget about those guys, and I don't. So
keeping it real.
And yeah, we'll get to there. So anyway, so I start this part-time thing, working 2 jobs, going to school. Ended up dropping out of school first.
That rebel.
Kept my night job, kept the morning job, and then so I would wait tables in the evenings. I would do this morning thing, and I would nap during the day. And I had a girlfriend at the time that was very patient with me.
Do you want to shout out to her?
No, I don't, because that did not end so well. And she would probably not appreciate
Keeping it real.
I know. That was the one. So I'm really good.
Let's just
to
let
not
her,
get off,
let her go.
I won't
Just
get
let
off
her
on
go.
that tangent, but I will say you were a lovely person, and I'm very sorry. And most of my relationships end on a very good note, and I'm very sorry that ours could not have.
Wow.
And I would totally...
Exclusive news on the Light of Darkness podcast.
I'm breaking it down right now.
Right now.
I did you wrong, and I'm sorry.
Go ahead and take a tip one for the homies. All right, so
that was for you, CO.
Shh.
That's all I'll say.
That's it. So you are now working for this morning show.
So now I'm working for this morning show, and I'm working nights waiting tables, and I another evening position opened, doing the same thing. PA. It wasn't right into camera position.
Same company.
Same position, same company, just in the evenings instead of in the morning. So I then left the waiting tables business because it was full time. It was a pay cut. I wasn't making as much as I was waiting tables, but I knew this is kind of what I wanted to pursue, and this was the only way I was going to do it, was not by taking 4 more years of school, but by kind of getting real world experience and learning how to do it. So this was, YouTube is springing out. Like, I mean, YouTube was big, but like when I was in high school, it wasn't a huge resource for these type of things to learn, a learning tool. People were still, you got to go to college. You still have to do this thing. So it was very much ingrained to still go to school at this time after high school. But this was kind of around the period where people started to experiment with the internet and started kind of presenting all these like new ways of learning these sort of trades. So I kind of found that early, and I'm very glad that I did. And it enabled me to kind of almost quickly. It was all about the amount of time you put into it, but I was able to quickly surpass people in my field that were doing the same thing as me that I had way less experience in. So I started doing that. I just started doing my own, working on my own. I started full time with doing the production assistant stuff, and then got into a camera position. Long story short, developed a great relationship there. And they ended up selling to a bigger company, which is another political just shit show that I won't get into on this podcast. But Sinclair Broadcasting is just this. It's a leviathan in the media force. Gotcha. They come in and they kind of just buy up all these small markets. And if you watch local news, it's all coming from the same place. Just so you know. NBC, Fox, CBS, all the local stuff.
You get the behind the scenes shit.
Sinclair owns all of that, and it's all just for entertainment, and they're all sharing everything. And it comes down from producers from the top level, and so you're just hearing regurgitated things.
That's pretty much what a lot of. But at this point now, we have the internet, and that's the beautiful thing about the internet is that yes, you can verify. Yeah. And it doesn't have to be from one source, because that's kind of what a big deal. Just kind of get off for just a moment.
No, yeah.
A lot of the networks are kind of tied in with political agendas, and so people direct tweet to those people and like they call them on their bullshit. Mm-hmm.
It's a great vetting tool.
Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. All checks and balances.
Gives everybody a voice, which
Absolutely. is good and which is not good. We've talked about this before.
Ad nauseum, right? Everybody has, right? I mean, that's kind of like the predicament we're in. That's why Trump is probably president, because everybody has a voice.
So. Absolutely. So you are living. You're not in Austin yet. You come to Austin, and we do a show. This is before our own East Side Fights. Oh, yes. We host an event at our gym. Yeah. And for this, you were kind of already training with me, I think.
So I had been coming to Open Gym. I hadn't started taking any training at Eastside. So Eastside Austin Lee was still a very new gym, and you guys had instructors for sure and classes, but I was just coming during the 2 to 4 time frame, and I was doing my kickboxing and Muay Thai I wanted a place that had bags that were accessible.
Sure.
I was looking for a 24-hour gym. You guys were not, but you guys were affordable and had open gym time where I could just do my own training. So that's what I was doing at first. So yeah, and then you guys had this event, Eastside Fights.
No. It was called Belts of Honoris. We were just a site for a nonprofit group, and basically what they did is they put on these this MMA show with local fighters, and all their proceeds were. I think they benefited a group called Enlightened Warriors,
Yes.
which I think is a group that helps kids, I believe, and through the martial
Could
arts.
be vets, but it's either vets or kids.
I think it's kids.
Is it kids? Okay,
I could
You're
be
right.
wrong,
Yeah.
but so we hosted. You could be right.
I'm wrong a lot.
I'm
though.
wrong
a
as
lot.
well.
Yeah. Okay.
That humility. So we were just a site for them. We rented out our space to them, and you came and put together. You all of a sudden just showed up.
I invited
on the scene.
myself.
You just showed up with a camera, with a really nice camera.
Yeah.
And I think if you just show up with a badge and a camera, people are going to let you in.
Just take you seriously, right? You just show up, fake it till you make it, right? But if you have that confidence and just like show up, a lot of people don't ask questions. It's funny.
Except don't show up with a black belt if you're a white belt.
Do not show up to any school with any other belt than the one you deserve or were given.
Well, it just gets exposed very
Moral of
quickly.
the story, yes. You will be found
It's
out.
exposed. So you show up and then you film this thing.
Yeah.
And then you put together a nice little, highlight video, if you
We
will.
call it, yeah, like a reel. It was like a promo for the event. It just all kind of, yeah. I just kind of asked the guys if I could do it, and it turned out to be a kind of a pivotal thing for me, which was great.
Absolutely.
But
So you put together this like high definition, slow motion. It was beautiful. And you can find that actually on your site.
yeah, it's on my Vimeo. It's buried in my Vimeo somewhere, and on my website, TonyStolfa.com.
No, you should plug that. And we're going to plug it again at the very
Yeah.
end. So this, from what I understand, gets you on an audience so that you're able to take your talents onward to FloGrappling, which at the time is not FloGrappling, it's FloWrestling.
So Flow Sports is the umbrella company, where the Flow Sports Network is. So at the time, they were actually called Flowcasts. They were a very small, yeah. So not a lot of people know this, but the Flow Wrestling, FloGrappling. A lot of people have heard of those sites, but they don't really know. They're like, oh, I've heard of it, and I know it, and I follow it, but they don't really know the origin story a lot. So we actually have that origin story on the site. If you go to flowsports.tv,
FloSports.tv.
FLOsports.tv. No, there's no W on the flow, so FLOsports.tv. You can find it there. But there's a video that I actually shot with our CEO and his brother, who's now the CMO. Just them talking about the origin story of the whole company, and it's a really grassroots thing. Two local Austin guys, one guy that ran track at UT, another that wrestled in college, and they were just very passionate about their sports and found a void in the online streaming community where these sports that they loved so much were so underserved, where ESPN would cover them, once a quadrennium during the Olympic year. They wanted more.
ESPN has been historically
king.
Well, yes, but also they're diving into martial arts pretty much is like the Paul Mitchell Taekwondo Championships.
Yeah.
And if you've ever seen that, it's
and it happens at 2 a.m. Like when no one's watching, and they'll re-air it 6 months later.
And it's like forms and swords and shiny gis.
Right.
So it's not what most martial artists would consider to be what they do.
You're more likely to see a ping pong match, probably.
You probably would.
I mean,
yeah. So Flow
Sports was what kind of spawned from that. So Flow, the name comes from the Floriani brothers. So Mark and Martin Floriani are the founding brothers. And they just had, again, sounds very cliche, but call it a vision, whatever you want to call it. They're these type of people that just didn't stop. They never gave up on what they wanted. So they would follow, and you can ask anyone in the wrestling community, the dedication that this company started with is unbelievable. But Mark would travel around the world, literally just surviving, really, and with a video camera he bought that from some money that his parents loaned him. I don't know, the story. It's it gets muddled, but
somewhat romanticized.
Yeah, right. But it's, it's great. They basically traveled in this RV that, didn't pan out, and ended up making these videos that just caught fire on YouTube, and just kept doing it, and kept showing up, and people started noticing, and they kind of built a company based on that. So now what it's grown to was, it started in track and wrestling, grew to gymnastics and a couple others very shortly after. A couple died off, but the grappling, track and gymnastics kind of helped that company really launch. And now we're in, I started with the company in 2013.
You just brought your reel to them, and they were just
so this kind of to segue back into what we were just talking about, the belts and veneers. My boss, who's now the CCO of the company, found me because of that highlight that I shot for belts and veneers. So he contacted me, found me online on my website, I believe, and basically we had a conversation. He wanted me to go out and shoot an event that they had, a gymnastics event in Dallas. It was a local event. He was going to pay me little to nothing, and then just kind of asked me to do all these extra things, and I was just willing to do it. Hungry young kid, just moved to Austin, like in the film world, trying to do whatever I could, kind of thing, doing work for free essentially. So now someone's offering to pay me very little for a company that I would kind of want to work for. Hell yeah, I would do it. So yeah, I did that. I produced a little edit for him. I assume he was impressed, and then called me back. I started then kind of shooting a weekly web series with them very quickly after that. So, and then within 3 months of doing that, I believe, consistently every week I'd shoot their web series in a studio that we rented. They hired me full time.
And so now your job with FloGrappling, FloGrappling itself it's a paid site,
yep.
But where it's just picked up a lot of traction.
Mm-hmm.
Number one, because of you guys cover some exclusive events. You got like EBI, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
No, you don't have EBI. You have Fight to
Win. We were in the
Win.
run for EBI. UFC Fight Pass has that one.
Right. You have Fight to Win.
Mm-hmm.
You guys do. We have
a lot of events. We do IBJJF. So the biggest,
Absolutely.
the most prestigious grappling tournament in the world, IBJJF World Championships is our event. So we have a good relationship with the IBJJF now. We try to, in every sport that we're in, try to build that relationship within the governing bodies that are basically running the show, the world caliber events. And we try to acquire the rights to those, and stream them. And we have a subscriber model. So we found a model that works with this area of kind of ignorance that we're in with the wild, wild west of the internet. People are still experimenting and trying to figure out what's going to work, viability long term, that sort of thing. So we found one that's working, and we're running with it. And basically it's a subscriber model, so people can pay monthly, yearly, and they get access to our entire Flow Sports network. And what that consists of are these type of events, usually the World Championships in most of our most of our websites, or just we try to cover as many. We try to keep the content coming, so we have a lot of rights acquisition that's happening, and through all of our sports. We now have 20 websites and growing, so we may have more than that this week. I don't know what week it is. I just knew.
I don't even know what day it is.
Last time they cut a promo, it said we had 20 websites, but that changes every week. So we're growing at a really fast rate, and it's really fun to watch. It's really fun to be a part of.
It's what I really enjoy.
Yeah.
Out of all the things, I enjoy the content, and I like that I can tune into some things, but I really like the comments. The comment section of almost anything you do, because it's fucking hilarious. There's so many shit talkers. Well, people talk shit, number one, because it's like a paid site. And people are like, I should get this for free. But for anything that anybody does on the internet that's an artistic or creative or whatever, people, I think, sometimes think that just because it's on the internet, it should be free. It's like it's free for everybody. It's like you put it out there, but somebody took the time to do that.
I'm really glad you brought this up, because
Absolutely.
I was having this conversation with the producer at Flow before I came here. I went and trained with you today at noon. Before that, I was dropping off some hard drives at work at the office, and there was one of my associates kind of stopped me in the hall and wanted to introduce me to another guy that we just hired. And I was saying, yeah, the first time I heard of Tony was a comment he left on the YouTube for Flow Sports. And I was like, I left a comment on the Flow Sports YouTube. He's like, yeah. He's like, that was my first greeting of yours. So he looks it up and shows it to me. And sure enough, I did. And I remember it now. It was the only comment I've ever left on YouTube, I think. But it was someone that was complaining because we offered basically put out a free promo, and somebody said, oh, finally Flow Sports is giving us some free content, something to that extent. And to which I responded sort of in a snarky manner, you must obviously be a millennial because
calling out the millennials.
Yeah, just
like you just killed off all of my.
I myself, I guess I think I fall into the millennial category, but I just don't have the millennial mindset of.
Sure.
Of I understand where sort of things came from, and that things don't happen for free.
Absolutely.
People have to work. People work to create that content that you're watching. So to just ask for it for free or complain because it's not free is just it shows a gratuitous amount of entitlement that I don't share. So
absolutely,
yeah,
absolutely. People, it's time. It's time and it's vision. So yeah, I would say that to ask for some sort of compensation, or not even the compensation, but just to say, no, you cannot have my shit for free, is fair. All right, so
it's got to be one profound clap. You can't just have
apologies.
All right.
Again, we run into some technical issues from time to time. This is is this amateur hour?
Working this shit out. No, it's not amateur hour.
It's not amateur hour.
It's a one-man band show. You're doing it all yourself. You can't, you're only one guy.
I don't know. I'm fucking one guy.
You're doing a great job. Don't worry about it.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Cuts happen.
Cuts happen.
Yeah.
Okay, so you now working for Flow.
Yeah.
We've established that.
I've established my position at Flow.
Really quickly,
so actually, we haven't established my position at Flow. We know what Flow does. We don't know what I do.
Tell me about Tony Stolfa's Flow experience.
I shoot the documentary films for Flow Sports. So I travel the world and cover stories within these sports. So we'll find an athlete who's particularly interesting or maybe a top of the world, and we will cultivate a story on these guys while it happens. So I'll kind of follow them day in the life.
So what do you say to people that say, oh, you have the dream job, you're always traveling, blah, blah, blah?
Change your dreams. No, I'm just kidding. No. My job is absolutely wonderful, and I'm very, very grateful to be in the position I'm in. So.
It sounds excellent. Yeah. I know that you've had interactions with some of the tops of our, art industry.
Yeah. So, I mean, I've met the likes of the Andre Galvals of the world, the, John Donahers, the Gary Tonans, those sort of figures.
And you come in and you're in a particular place where you're actually, them on an intimate level.
We do get really in depth with these stories. We, in the biz, in the industry, we call these cradle to the grave documentary or interviews that we get with these folks. So when we sit them down, it's a very in-depth, immersive experience. So we're following them through their personal life on for an entire, sometimes 12 to 16 hour day. Where they don't really get a break from us, and I have them mic'd up the entire time. So we hear all those little intimate details, and then we dive into their life to an extent that people aren't really doing in this spectrum. So, we get to know these people really well, and I've made some really great friends in the community. People that you assume to be just untouchable, or you wouldn't otherwise go.
Human beings.
Yeah, they're human people.
Beings.
Yeah, they're human.
What is a common thread that goes through all these types of personalities and talented people?
Hard fucking work. It's if there's one common thread, I've never interviewed a person that got by.
Everybody's putting in their time.
Everybody's just they're blood, sweat, and tears, passionate about what they're doing. So
it's what they do.
Yeah, it's what they do, and it doesn't have to consume their entire life. That's not what I mean by that. I just mean they don't let boundaries get in their way. They don't let people tell them they can't do something. They don't let an injury or whatever stop them. They let it, obviously you have to take care of yourself. Life happens. There's things you have to take care of. There are those priorities you maybe put in front of at other times, but they just never, they refuse to stop, and they they just know that is the only option, is not giving up.
It's we're in a beautiful time right now because of the internet and because everybody has a voice. We were talking about how you hear so many people, they're able to talk shit, they're able to do this,
Mm-hmm.
but also creatively you can get stuff out there. I mean, this podcast is an example. Just a will and a desire to do something like this has reached so many people just because, well, I think it would be a good idea to get people's story out there. And these people are doing the same thing with their art, with their hard work, with their body, with whatever they're doing. They're reaching people because the internet, and they're coupling it with their talents.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, it's, I mean, if we're talking about the internet, it's enabled, I mean, the world's different. The world is different than it was 5 years ago, and especially different than it was 10 years ago. And it's going to be a constant change. And going back to, you know, people not wanting to pay for content, like, things are going to change. Things are going to have to change, in order for us to make this thing right. So there's never one right way of doing everything, but I think that, you know, we're, with a little patience and tenacity, we're going to figure it out. But, you know, people just need to be willing to accept the fact that things are going to have to change.
Or not, and then we'll figure it out because of them.
Yeah. Yeah. Experiment. That's like a life thing, you know, anyway.
So
try something new.
Yeah, man. So what are like, as we kind of come to a close, what are some future plans for Tony Stolfa?
Future plans.
Yeah, man. Like with your art, I know the competition thing is like a thing, but, you know, like with this videography, cinematography, whatever you want to call it, what are some things that you want to achieve?
Ooh. So Neil deGrasse Tyson has a good little quote. It's actually a Horace Mann quote, but he repeats it a lot, and that's kind of where I got it from. But it's be ashamed to die until you've won some victory for humanity. That sounds pretty harsh.
Say it again.
Be ashamed to die until you've won some victory for humanity. So small, big, whatever, a victory for humanity in my eyes is telling a story that puts bullying and going back to the very beginning of what we talked about. I kind of have always liked being able to be a voice for people that don't have one, or being someone who can disable a bully, someone who, you know, is using their power or something they have over someone just because they have it. So in that, like, there's a lot of ways you can take that in the documentary world. I have one in mind that I'm working on. It's a super secret project.
I'm not going to ask you about it.
I know about it. It's been ongoing for many years. There's a couple. So I have a couple going on.
I'm not going to say anything. It's
Yeah.
not the kind of host I am.
So, I want to win that victory for humanity kind of through my storytelling. So I would like to be able to kind of do something for the greater good that, you know, everybody wants to kind of make an impact, whatever
Absolutely.
that may be, and do their thing. But I think that storytelling is a really powerful tool, and it helped me in my early life, being able to, having access to the internet, at a young stage in life, having that as an education tool. I don't take that for granted, and I told myself I never would. And having that power and that ability, I won't. And so that's where my priorities lie, is kind of getting that story done, and seeing where that goes. So I don't have any grandiose plan of making any feature films that are gonna be the next best feature.
Who knows?
Maybe
knows,
I'm not
man?
gonna I'm not gonna set any boundaries either.
We're growing. We're growing.
We are growing. Hopefully that's the plan.
All right.
Thank you.
I want to say to you, Tony Stolfa, thank you, number one, for helping me.
Thank you.
If you guys don't know, Tony Stolfa is the gentleman that shot my intro video, and we were in the trenches of a very muddy ravine.
Yes, and it was muddy.
And it was great. And so thank you for that. Thank you. I appreciate it. I appreciate your vision. I appreciate your help. And also, I want to thank you for actually taking the time to come on my podcast.
My pleasure. My pleasure. I'm happy to do it. Always happy to help a friend out, and happy to be here because it's good to talk to you.
It is.
It's always good to talk to you.
How can people support you? How can they see your work? How can they, if they were interested in having you do their work, doing realizing their vision, how can they contact you?
No, you know this. I'm not a big self-promoter, but
I'm
you
asking.
can, I don't ask for any assistance or help, but if you'd like to check out my work, TonyStolfa.com is my website. You can check out all my recent stuff.
Got a new logo.
Got a new logo from this gentleman right here, who is a graphic designer extraordinaire, as you can see. Made me a fantabulous logo that you can see on the top left corner of my video loop on my website. Maybe we'll put it
on this video. We could possibly do that.
We could do that. I think it actually is on the video.
No. Well, it is. No, it actually. But I'm saying like we could put like the right there.
Oh, like we can superimpose it. Yeah, like right here.
That might happen.
We should make T-shirts too.
We're getting ahead of ourselves.
Yeah, we are getting ahead of ourselves. But yes, thank you for your help as well in that. I've never had a logo, and it feels great to just be able to brand stuff that I do.
You're a professional.
So it's kind of cool.
You're a professional.
It makes me feel like I'm actually doing something.
All right. Anybody you want to say what's up to?
No. Mom, I love you. My mom. Yeah, she's a wonderful lady.
I apologize to her
if she's listening to this.
For putting split in your eye, and for you put her through the traumatic event.
I did. Yeah, sorry. She knows I'm very sorry about that, and she knows to what extent I did not actually want that to occur. But love you, Mom.
It happens.
Sorry that it happened.
It happens.
Yeah.
All right. Well, for more of this podcast, please visit us on the internet, thelightofdarkness.com. If you like our Instagram grammar, is that what we are calling it? I don't know. The Light of Darkness podcast. You can subscribe to us on YouTube, subscribe to us on iTunes. Just do the whole thing. Just get us out there. Spread the word. Subscribe. Let us be the light in your dark. You like that shit?
I like that.
All right, cool. I'm on Twitter, DG The Darkness. You on Twitter?
I am not on Twitter. I'm on Instagram, Tony Stolfa. Everything I have is Tony Stolfa. It's my name.
Tony Stolfa.
That is my name.
I think that's going to be, that's it. That's it.
Yeah.
That is it.
Thank you for having me.
Man, absolutely. Again, follow these things. Do all that good stuff. It's been a pleasure. Thank you guys. If you are interested in being a guest, if you're interested in sending comments, Derrick at thelightofdarkness.com. Do it. I want it. I like it. I need it. It's that validation. That's it. I don't know.
I had nothing to add.
I had nothing else to give. That's all I
Thank you for sticking with us.
It's been a
for an hour
the longest
and
one. It's the whatever.
Something.
I had to cut off for a second.
Yeah.
That's it. That's all I got. Thank you guys so much. Thelightofdarkness.com. I love you guys. Bye.